Yes, my name is Kenneth Loch. Just want to get into maybe just the idea of what is an enlightenment. I did some sweets or X's this morning, and I just laid out some like little tidbits. So that's why I want to get into this a little bit. And it's just got to try to get as general as possible. And the idea is that I'm doing this because I actually had a witness of, to say, an enlightenment, and I am, say, enlightened. So the idea is that, what is an enlightenment? Well, I have firsthand knowledge of that. So it's kind of interesting. So if someone was interested in learning about the Enlightenment, um, they can actually come to me and get firsthand knowledge of it. And firsthand or first rate, say, knowledge. And then the idea of what is second-rate knowledge, second-hand knowledge. It would be based on somebody who doesn't have a witness of that. And it's I this enlightenment was in a sense my choice. So it's just I got this thing, and I got a responsibility, and part of that responsibility is I have to ultimately kind of inform those who are talking about enlightenment, and they're a little off on their perspective. I'm actually here to correct them. They would ultimately be, in a sense, my student, but not my student, because I can actually test them, but that didn't mean that they actually learned anything from me. So that's kind of interesting. Let's see, enlightenment. So the nature of that. I see one of those tidbits. I asked why would anyone need to be enlightened, and it just kind of got into the idea that we have this concept of enlightenment, and the reason why I'd have to explain basically the reason why we haven't had the understanding of the concept of enlightenment, because we haven't had somebody who actually really can explain it to where maybe say an 8-year-old could understand. And once you do, and it's actually biblical. It says that would it be more evident if another teacher was to come, and so it's just that's what's been going on, and I have to explain maybe just like the likes of Jesus being a teacher. Again, it came like 2,000 years ago, and bared witness of some things, and testified of them, and the whole basis of this the New Testament, new gospel that he provided humanity with. And then the idea is that ultimately, when it comes to enlightenment in Jesus, I'd have to say that because really to understand enlightenment, you're going to understand the nature of the not enlightenment. And then, to understand the eternal, you'll understand the temporal. So it's at the basis of edification, and the idea is that ultimately my enlightenment here now is come with great value. It's precious. I think ultimately, figure maybe I might be wearing a crown, and on that crown is many jewels. And and the nature of that, we can get into this. It's funny because the jewels, they have different cuts, whatever, to them, and and the idea is the cut of a jewel or a stone. It's referred to as, in a sense, a brilliance, and it's the nature of its reflection. And the idea is that I'm actually, and I can get to this here now, the idea is that my enlightenments, I actually witnessed two enlightenments through two different disciplines. So the nature of that, it has a cut to it. There's primarily I witnessed enlightenment through the fine arts, and then secondly through athletics. So to understand the nature of the cut in relation to that, there's a brilliance, and the brilliance is actually based on the knowledge that I'm actually now here to make available. And yeah, and then I'm going to do that as free as I can, because that's what I'm supposed to do. As freely as it's given to you, you give, kind of thing. And it's just, it's kind of a bummer that I'm going to have to, like, hold, people to the standard. I'm pretty disciplined. I'm a very disciplined. I take stuff pretty serious, and so it just, by my standard, whatever, to hold it up against someone else, and then maybe for me to demand a person to change their ways, whatever, or something, or I just have to tell them to, pretty much just chill out, just be themselves, and don't miss lunch, whatever kind of thing. And so let's see, through the fine arts, I represent the last of the abstract painters of the 20th century art movement, who became spiritually, metaphysically enlightened to how painting is a spiritual and metaphysical practice. And I ultimately did this through the talent that I was given to me to actually create a composition, a painting that is totally without an object, non-object, non-objective. And then the idea is that, the basic requirement for, say, a spiritual or metaphysical practice, I'm here to say now, is based on a person's ability to paint a painting, which doesn't have an object. And that's kind of like a test, whatever. It's not everybody, I'm kind of the first of my kind of thing, and not too many people have probably given too much thought to painting a painting that doesn't have an object or any form or whatever. So and then the idea is the interdisciplinary nature of that would be that spiritual, metaphysical, in relation to my ability to capture this spiritual, metaphysical nature through a painting, how that's interrelated to the other fine art disciplines, which includes music and dance. So the idea is that my enlightenment, the idea of it'll kind of bring us to reformation of education into the interdisciplinary perspective, and that standard for that would be based on that the student would be diversified in each one of those disciplines and ultimately reach their highest potential, and ultimately come to the realization that they are interdisciplinary and that they have reached their highest potential. Wow. And and then my second enlightenment was through, let's just say, athletics, or what it means to be an athlete, and in relation to exercise. And so the idea of reaching enlightenment, say, through exercise. And it turns out I have to explain that actually, I'm the first enlightened athlete, and the idea is that ultimately how I did that was, taking the exercise of, say, tennis. I take it very seriously, and so serious that don't bother asking me to play the sport of tennis or play a game. It's kind of funny for me being ambidextrous and everything. I haven't really yet. I mean, I'm getting my opposite, my one that I developed second, whatever. It's getting pretty good. I just haven't taken it out. I practice against the backboard pretty much and get on the court every once in a while. But I really, I would have to hone the serve in. And I can actually probably do that. I could serve to the ad side of it. And then just switch. I could switch hands, or I could just go out there with my one I developed last, say, and see if I can actually beat somebody, say, left-handed. So it's kind of funny. I kind of put, say the sport to kind of a shame a little bit, and the shame is that tennis players have kind of wasted their time, and it's not their fault. They're not to blame. They only taught them how to play a stupid game, and it's kind of funny. It's in one of my songs. I actually wrote those are actually lyrics, and it's the song's called Got Stupid, and it goes, what you got, you got stupid. It's not your fault, you're not to blame. They only taught you how to play a stupid game. And then the next verse I get into the idea is, nobody taught you how to think or how to use your brain. So just the idea is like using the brain. And then I got into nobody taught you how to, nobody taught you how your mind and your body are one and the same. And what you got, you got stupid. So it's like, for me, it's kind of, I'm a singer-songwriter kind of thing. It's kind of interesting, a poet, I don't know, I put words into music, and the idea is that I was able to capture that, which is like, from my perspective, it's pretty cool. It's kind of interesting that I was able to pull that off, and by just say the grace of God, kind of thing, and yeah. So let me see if I can wrap this up. Enlightenment. Yeah, I just I'm figuring I'm the enlightened one possibly for the 21st century, and the idea is that let me get a little bit more into this here. The idea is that through, say, Christianity, ultimately, I think it's been written that Jesus will come back, say, so his second coming. I'm not sure exactly the scripture on that, but that whole idea. But then what I want to get into here is the idea that Buddhism, they're waiting for another teacher, and that teacher, their name is Maitreya. And so the idea here, bringing to the table, is that who I'm claiming to be is actually the first true, genius. So I don't have to say that we haven't had one from my interdisciplinary, perspective. I just take the whole, I raised the genius bar, on this, and I'm going to use that to bring people up, with it. But the idea is that me being the first true genius, ultimately the nature of what I was able to accomplish, testifies of, a mind-body atonement, kind of similar to Jesus atoning for our sins, I was able to atone for the sort of mind-body gap, and actually through exercise, I established a standard for understanding, the standard for, say, somebody who is both mentally and physically healthy. And ultimately back to the step here, did I understand the nature of just what an athlete is, and then how an athlete actually becomes an athlete, for, say, an enlightened athlete, say. So in relation to them, ultimately having the connection between their mind and body, and understand that, and then ultimately understand me as first tennis player who kind of woke up. It's really important that students, if you want to be a student, you have to recognize the teacher, and with that, then there's where your education kind of begins and ends. Wow, that's heavy. Sorry to bring this all down on everybody, but let me shut it down there. Just a little bit of insight. I just thought I'd put it down and put it out there. Hope you got something from it.